Man, oh man, oh man. What a day. Sun, clouds, rain, cool, warm, sun, clouds, muggy, heat. It's like a Bugs Bunny cartoon. The mirage, the weather, right? Let's watch something. I want everybody to think about this as we're watching it. Think about this in your country before we get on with the show. I know. It's Dahmer, England. Didn't you do something about the England thing yesterday? Yeah, I did. But I want you to listen to this. Listen to the words. Listen to the bureaucracy, the finger pointing against the people of any nation. Imagine this, because this has happened in the United States. Now you're seeing it full circle. Just watch. Enjoy it.
You know what I really feel though at the moment is the country feels so volatile and so divided at the moment in a way that I actually don't recall for the entire, I'm 49, I don't remember the country feeling like this. What are you going to do to change it?
I think this is the defining issue in politics at the moment. I think it's less left-right in politics.
Yeah.
It's between those that want to pull people together and believe in the British spirit and those that want to tear it apart.
There you have it. Once again, you've got Keir Starmer.
Now, I know, it's from some British channel. Who cares, right? It's not us. It's not the United States. It's not something we should really care about. Oh, pray tell. Yeah, it is, because the same things have been said by the political powers in the United States. You're the problem. It's not the unification of the parties. You're the problem. It's those that are becoming part of the problem, be it left, be it right, be it conservative, be it libertarian, be it lettuce, be it tomatoes, or dolphin-free tuna. Whatever it is you're a part of, you're the problem. Now, I know somebody's going to say, well, Orange Angry Man's in power. It's the Republicans. Well, before that, it was Grandpa Touches Me Bad, the Democrats. Well, it's the same thing said. Both sides of the fence, those that want to tear it apart. So ultimately, you're the problem. So thus this show. Races, the race wars, the race versus races, and the police. Now, we're not advocating for a race war here by any means. But I want you to have a firm understanding in executive, legislative, judiciary. The three. Executive, those that make decisions. Those that you vote to put into office. The executive branch. The police chiefs, the sheriffs. Yes, they're executive. They're making policy too for the city ordinances and coordinating it with the city mayor, the county mayor, the alderman, the councilman, the people that hired them, even those that are elected, like sheriffs, new policies, ordinance policies for a county, city ordinance, can't have your music up loud in the car. Small, minute details, but things that still affect you. All right. The judiciary review. Law enforcement is the first hands-on for judicial review. They see the misdemeanor, they respond. They get the complaint, they investigate. They get the 911 call, they respond. It's not your mayor that's coming to your house to help you. It's not the social workers. I know, everybody pushed for that big embedment, right? How'd that work for you? When it happens, when there is a trigger on the globe, in a country, in a city, in a county, to where it's races at war with race, regardless of the race, the police are always going to be involved. Why? Why, one pray tell would ask? The police should operate the same on the left side as they would on the right side, on the Republican side, up north, up south, out west, out east. Why? Bureaucracy, politicians, politics, political decisions with politics and wine, voting. And then the judiciary principles come out. So if this ever does happen, or probably has happened, we just haven't really heard about it, all right? When it happens and the crowds show, it isn't just one crowd. It's not going to be one crowd. When the line between protest and combat, the fighting, the riots, where the police are going to have to choose sides. Trust me, don't think that the police are not going to choose sides. Don't think the military is not going to choose a side. Some are, some aren't. Some are going to hold by the Constitution, word of law, the profession, the job, the skill. Some are going to act on their own. It's not going to be just two sides, but it's going to be a 5-side, a 10-side, a 20-side. Even ethnic enclaves become a flashpoint. Who is who? Who's going to be absorbed by who? Who's going to accept you? Who's going to accept one in their own race or their own culture, creed, or religion when they have a conflict with law enforcement? Now someone of that race, creed, subculture, or religion wants to ban with their race, creed, subculture, religion. You get the point. Now they're an outcast. They're an outlier. Now the faction sees itself as infiltrated because someone wants to join. Now everybody wants to join that was the enemy in the past. Regardless of the flashy videos you see on YouTube with all of the black people in the world, we need to get all those white people for that high school stabbing. They're hunting us. For all the white people, we need to get all of those black people before they come get us. For all of the Islamic people, we need to go get all of the non-Islamic people before they come get us. You're seeing it play out in social media. You're seeing it play out in quick streams. You're seeing it play out in shorts. You're seeing people capitalize on this and put it all over the internet as, oh, look at this. It's an attention getter. I found it for you. I doom scrolled so you wouldn't have to. Yeah, you're catching it. You're seeing it. It's not like it's anything new. Propaganda. You hear people saying, yeah, we're going to uprise. We're going to, initiate in that 5, 10, 20 side level of combat. Well, are you? No, you're not. I hate to break the news to you, because specific percentages of the population serve in the military. Specific percentages of the population serve in law enforcement. And just because you're in that specific percentage does not mean you're Rambo or you have that skill to go out there and do all of that verbal damage to society. Go get them before they get us. Yeah. Looks like the United States is rubbing off on Stammer. Stammer's rubbing off on the United States. Now you got that mass, broad spectrum of conflict, and everybody's ready to listen to it, ready to hear it, ready to hear the laws that were made for one side without credible validity, right? Citation of source, state statute, that code annotated, penal code, federal law, rule of law, set precedent, case study, case law. It's not there. Everybody's being sucked into the binary trap. And it's a binary trap because it's multi-directional, all right? White police doctrine was built for two sides. It was just built for two sides. It wasn't built for 5, wasn't built for 10. It wasn't built for your race, their religion, their culture. It wasn't built specifically just for you. Kind of like you think the highway's yours. I own the road in my car. No. It's two-sided. The definition of crowd control doctrine in the United States evolved from labor strikes, period. The 19th century, early 20th century. Yeah. Labor strikes. Oh my gosh. Why do you think within politics you hear the rich, the powerful, the minimum wage, the middle class, the laborer, the non-laborer, the factories, out of the country, in the country? Yep, there you go. It still has root. It still has foundation in the United States. So it was built off of crowd control within labor for protests, civil rights, public order, operational pretext for law enforcement to move and shift within both sides of the government and the population. Pro-labor, anti-labor, pro-money, anti-money, pro-rich, anti-rich. That's why we have all of these organizations out there that are structured under binary rule of the rich and the wealthy, the middle class, the poor, the impoverished. Seriously, do your own research, all right? Authorities versus demonstrations, or police versus the singular aggregate group, aggrieved group, angry group. Think of the military. It's the same thing. U.S. Army MP school, same thing. It's same principles. They're taught in the academies. Law enforcement is designed for a doctrine of 2, not 5, not 3, not 10, not 20. But if something like that ever would happen, the core assumption in the United States, it's not going to be traditional doctrine, not within society. Society is going to think that, well, they should come over to our side because they're part of us. May be true for some aesthetics of law enforcement that feel the same way. No, I said feel, think, not a scholarly contribution of cognitive thought of what reality is, executive, judicial, legislative. There's the problem. The academies do not teach that. Law enforcement does not teach that in the academy. Believe me, they do not. Go ask somebody that just graduated the law enforcement academy. Hey, tell me the 3 levels of government. They're going to look at you like Scooby-Doo wanting a cookie treat, because they're not going to be able to answer this to you. They're not. That's just the way it is. Most FTOs, most police chiefs and sheriffs don't even know where they sit in the tier of 3. The majority of them do not. Walk up to one and ask. Watch the Scooby-Doo head turn. A single crowd with a unified grievance. So think about this, the identifiable leadership, right? The instrument, the tool, the one that is the leader with cognitive ability, scholared knowledge, has that credibility, that validity in their speech, in their verbiage, in their ideology. I didn't say rhetoric or edict, I said ideology, all right? It's a coherent objective. Law enforcement's not there for the coherent objective, people. They're not there to listen to your coherent objective. But some in law enforcement are going to be manipulated, swayed, moved, shift because of the think, I feel, I believe, he, they, them, there. It's going to happen that way. So they're going to make their own choice. The controlled forces, law enforcement, the controlled forces, the people. Yeah, that's why we have a Second Amendment, right? It's why we have a Constitution. The controlled forces. The role is to isolate, contain, or disperse the single entity that is outside of the 2. The law enforcement 2. Peace, word of legislative law, executive positions to instruct, order, control, manage the first judiciary hands-on. Dispersal of one of the 2, the against. That is why when society rallies and protests, you see all these gaggle groups of balloons and giraffes and stupid people outside of government entity buildings. None of it, the majority of it, is going to be protected by free speech, the Constitution, because within these specific areas of the executive, legislative, judicial, there are words of law written. Words of law written, because each state has a constitution underneath the United States Constitution. 10th Amendment, 9th Amendment, 9th Amendment. A state can have a law written as long as the federal executive, legislative branch of law under judiciary review has nothing that applies to it. It's not going to be protected because the states are going to run it on their own. The operational tasks under binary doctrine. Okay, guys, you got to understand the isolation of binary can always be shift, all right? Bilateral, move, shift, binary. It's more than one. It's binary, multiple directions. The isolation area. Security, likely, targets. Buildings, protests, control, the crowd. These are targets. Control is a target. The crowd is a target. Security is a target. The area of control, how to establish control within the area of a protest, a conflict of race versus religion, and those police officers that are now sucked into the fight. Now law enforcement has a conundrum. Its level of 2 response is now broken because some of those that be damned the police, I'm going to my people, are taking that ability, that skill, that knowledge of the 2 to manipulate it and make the doctrine fail. The binary has now become what? Multi. So it's not just 2, 3, 4, 5, 20. It's going to be multiple, if not hundreds. So the fall, the gap, the executive, the legislative and judiciary review is going to diminish like that. Blink of an eye, gone. Are you ready for that? And the sad thing, I got an email the other day asking an opinion, scholarly, if this really does happen, Mike, what about all these people and all these groups that are, this, that, and the other, all this kind of like, the guys that the UFC fight or whatever, the drone, the attack, that had all this gear and stuff. The majority of those people are kajagoogoo. They buy this crap and they have no experience. Like I said, a small percentage of the United States, a small percentage of the United States for law enforcement and military, even think of going to the military or law enforcement, let alone those that make it in the door, let alone those that successfully make it through the training. Just because you're in the door doesn't mean you're going to go be Johnny Rambo and learn how to be Delta Ranger SEAL Pablo Escobar of the DOD. It's not going to happen. You're not going to have all that skill set. So, no, that threat level is making the conundrum worse because not all law enforcement has that SRT, SWAT, that special response. They don't have it. It's a select few within the organizations, within the entities, within the executive judicial review branch and the entity of the executive judicial review branch, county, city, state, federal. Not everybody does. You think an SRO has a full kit in the back of their vehicle to breach with some Syntec or some C4 or a water vane with high pressure, low pressure, or some magnesium? No, they do not. I haven't been to that breacher school, force breacher, explosive dynamic entry. No, they haven't. So you don't have all of this whimsical, look at us, we're going to take over the show because we've got Johnny Super Cop. We need to do a show on that, Super Cop. Yeah. I'm dead serious, man. Super Cop. Yeah, Super Cop versus non-Super Cop. I just made that up. Yeah, we need to come up with that. Put it in the chat, send an email. Who would watch that? The reality. The problem with multi-ethnic factors, okay? It's the stimulus, okay? It's the engagement. It's the engaged in violence against each other. The engagement, you see it every day. It's all over the news. It's all over the social media. You go out, you come home from work, you eat your dinner, grab your nice ice cold drink, sit down with the dog and grab the controller with your big screen and YouTube. Nobody watches TV anymore, like, regular TV or cable TV. It's all stream. It's all free. It's all YouTube, X, bubbly platforms, and you watch it, man. Big, live, 72 inches in front of your face, the fight against each other. It's entertainment. When it becomes ethnic versus ethnic, race versus race, race versus races, races versus a race, it's not against the state anymore. It's not against the city. It's not against the police any longer. It's against a non-neutral controlled factor. You're not going to be able to control that emotion. You're not going to be able to control that anger, that heightened awareness, kind of like the crowd mob, the madness of the movement. Someone's going to be sucked in. Now they're part of it. They're the living, breathing entity of their ethnic choice, their ethnic decision, until they're rejected. They're pushed as an outlier. Then you've got a new enemy, so that now multilateral, bilateral force that technically would be your own, race, creed, age, religion, culture, subculture. You've rejected it just because it wears a police badge or has a historic venue of profession, even though it chose to come to your side. Now you've outliered it and you've kicked it out. Done. We don't want you. Now you've contributed to creating another binary, bilateral force against you. It becomes part of the target scale. But you forget it. You diminish it down to the minimal thoughts. And when you do that, that's the thing that's going to creep up like the angry thing in the night, kind of like a child running with the light switch still ghosted in their hand to get into the bed after watching a horror movie. The perceived protectors stand alongside or against others. It's what would happen. Now, we're not advocating for it. We're breaking this down, okay? And this is all done through what? Scholarly peer review research. We actually took research from 2017 all the way up to 2023 and did this. All research. If you want a copy of the research, shoot me an email, drmikeleeg@gmail.com. I'll send you the sources. Do your own scholarly review on this. So, the problem. The police are no longer the neutral control force because it's going to be positioned not on both sides, but binary, bilaterally, in between the both sides, if not all different sides. It's kind of like thinking a war between all of the police departments in the United States. Imagine that. All of the federal agencies under the DOJ. Yeah, the DOJ, Department of Justice, all of the entities under the DOJ. Let's do something here real quick so people get a firm understanding. I got a question about this, and the other day, I just want to make sure society is understanding what the dadgum DOJ is. So all of you will get the comprehend what I'm saying here. Just get just comprehend. And we're just going to do this just with a quick, rundown. Let me adjust this for everybody. I want everybody to truly understand what I'm talking about here. This is just an example, real quick. What agencies are in the DOJ? Okay, FBI, DEA, ATF, U.S. Marshals, Federal Bureau of Prisons. These are just examples. There are more, all right? These are just quickies that everybody's, common language, common, verbiage in society. But there are more. More. Think of all of these divisions within the DOJ, investigations, and they all have law enforcement officials. They all have law enforcement capability, certified, bona fide, stamped on both sides, violate the Constitution with judicial precedents, executive precedents. Yeah, legislative review, set precedent, validated by the U.S. Supreme Court. So imagine that big conflict that everybody wants. You hear these people talking about on social media, and everyone that is of that ethnic background, culture, subculture in the DOJ, and this is just a small percentage, right? Imagine all of these groups clashing. It's not two-sided anymore. It's multi-binary. That's what you're going to have in society. That's what you're going to have in your cities. That's just the reality of it, people. I know, you're like, oh my gosh, never looked at it that way. Most people do not. Ethnic factions. The multi-faction operational crisis. It's going to be an operational crisis, all right? Internal group violence involving 3 or more ethnic or racial factions, religious factions, whatever it may be, simultaneously engaged in hostilities towards each other, where law enforcement is not the primary target, but law enforcement is caught in the crossfire of it. Because why? Law enforcement has those ethnic sides, has those racial factions, has those religious factions within law enforcement. Now you're not caught between two sides, you're caught binary between multiple. Now the fracturization begins. Who's ready for that? None of you are. So when you hear Johnny Superguy or Judy Supergirl, we need to go get them before they get us. Are they really understanding, or can they conceptualize in their mind the reality of now the two sides of it's you against them? Now it's binary, it's multi-longitudinal, all over the place. You don't know who's coming to get you from what, where, when. You're not going to know. The binary shift, the stimuli is now changed. Your stimuli is in overdrive because your stimuli is solely engaged in that hostile activity. Now you're going to be caught in the crossfire of confusion, not collateral damage or, an innocent victim, but because you partook in the onslaught engagement of hostility, non-binary. You thought it was just going to be two sides. Well, it's not going to be that way. It's going to be a stimulated flashpoint, a binary shift. It's going to be overwhelming to law enforcement. The sheer volume of the stimulus and the flashpoints of hostility are going to be too much for law enforcement, too much for society, even too much for the United States military. Yes, the United States military. Let's do something else here real quick, just so everybody understands. Let's go here. We're going to go to this little cool site. I found this cool site a while back. It's called Kimi AI. I'm just going to do this, okay? All right, so kind of made these words big and bold so everybody could see it, but I'm just going to turn this bad boy on, and we're really going to, and this is just your typical AI. Give me a second here. I'm going to adjust it because it's going to be interesting for all of you to see this. All right. As I said, this is a website called Kimi AI. No, I'm not. Why are you laughing at me, man? I'm not a super googly expert like you. All right, what is the percentage of Americans that join law enforcement? We're just going to hit enter, okay? Why? Why would this be critical for one to understand? Okay, so it's searching percentages, and I like to use this site because when you're doing academic research, never use AI to do your research, but use AI as a tool, okay, for things that you can't find in databases or are hard to find, in databases that you have to have script or an account for. But I'm doing this for a specific reason. Because when you look at the hostilities, the engagement, the binary shift, the move, and the actual tool, and it's doing some background research. It's taken a little bit longer than Grok or Claude or others, because it's going into specific databases that you can program into this for it to look at. Approximately 22% of Americans work as full-time sworn law enforcement officers. Badges, firearms, arrest powers, that's about 1 in every 454 Americans, roughly 737,000. Well, 737, Yeah. Nationwide 2024. Employees, dispatchers, crime tech, these figure about 0.26, roughly 1 in every 387 Americans, 864,000. So you've got more people working in law enforcement agencies that aren't sworn officers, regular, non-sworn police arrest jobs. What do you think they're going to do? What are they going to shift toward? Or are they going to move into binary races versus race versus all race and the conundrum of the binary choice for law enforcement? You're going to have to deal with that too, because families work in law enforcement agencies, husbands, wives, people work together. Yeah, they do. I mean, if you know a husband or a wife that work for the same agency, family members that work for the same agencies, it happens. Let me see. The FBI's 2017 showed a rate of 2.4 sworn officers per 1,000 inhabitants, 0.24%, which closely aligns with today's figures. Now, keep this in mind. That sounds like, man, 2.4 sworn officers for 1,000 people. Not all of those sworn law enforcement officers are tactical run and gun experts with, I got a whole SWAT kit. I'm the Johnny Rambo of the. No, man, it could be just a regular patrol officer that just got into the department, has been there less than 6 months, hasn't been any schools, any superficial training, hasn't even met that interdepartment requirement of being there for 2 years in a division probation before you can transfer to another division or try out for another position in the department. Knock that digit down more. Now you think, we've got the power, we've got the man, we've got the one of the two sides that was against us. Now we've got it. No, you don't. You've got a binary failure on your side. And you thought you grabbed something. The internal violence involving 3 or more ethnic factions rolls into the law enforcement, but you're not gaining anything. And even if you don't look toward law enforcement, 2.4 per 1,000, good luck, people. You're not going to have enough law enforcement. The law enforcement is going to be a binary shift where law enforcement may just say, have at it. Kill each other. That's reality. Weak numbers. People that do not even want to respond or aid in the binary shift for causation of betterment in their own race, creed, culture, or religion. And this is not a substitute for a classroom by any means. Get in a classroom, get an education, all right? I like to use Kimmy just because it goes a little bit deeper. I can program what I want it to look into, where I want it to search, not stupidity places. All right. So let's cover a few more things. This is just a quickie for the afternoon, just to brighten your day. The intelligence failures for this. All right. And we're not advocating for it. We're giving you a reality check after you're watching all of your social media and all of your cool stuff. You're like, yeah, I agree. We need to go get all those people before they come get us. We need to be like Britain. We need to be, we need to be like Germany. We need to be like, you need to be like nobody else but yourself as a developing scholar. The intelligence failure. Binary doctrine relies on advice, intelligence about one single event. The study, the breakdown, the review. Thus, the literature reviews of scholarly reviews on phenomenons. A phenomenon is a problem. So, the race versus races, races versus race, and the binary problem of what did the police do? Where do they go? It's a phenomenon. It's a single possibility of an event to where the structure of that 2.4 within 1,000 people are going to have to make a decision. Where are they going to go? How many of you have heard that in your lifetime? Well, you need to make a decision who you're going to support, which side you're on. The singular event, multi-race conflict generates spontaneous, decentralized violence across multiple locations with no central organizer. There's no leader. There's no, instrument with credibility and validity to set the pace, set the calls, be the one that's identified. Yeah, it's rendering pre-event intelligence gathering, impossible. You're not going to be able to gather intelligence because no one is the instrument of IT. No one's the instrument of signal. No one's the instrument of intel. No one's the instrument of signal and intel or human intelligence combined together, or the interpretation or dissemination of the information. So where do you go? Those superstar binary had to make a choice between 1 and 2 side when it turned from 3 to 5 to 10 to 2200. Those law enforcement officers are now broke, confused, and you're not going to have any legislative control. You're not going to have any judicial review. You're not going to have any executive action because it's all going to be shifted across the platform and across the board. Because you know and I know some sheriffs, some police chiefs, some people in that executive position of law enforcement that were voted in, hired in, are going to take a knee. Just like they do now in 2026, take a knee to the bureaucracy, the protocol, the policy. Be damned the Republican Party, be damned the Democratic Party, be damned the left, be damned the right, be damned everything else. You're looking at a race versus races, races versus specific race, however it is in the binary conflict of where does law enforcement go? And we're just talking about the police and law enforcement. God forbid we ever get into the military aspect of it. It's all going to collapse. The command, the control breakdown, the incident command, right? The ICS, okay? Incident command system, people, law enforcement, firefighters, emergency response, and the NIMS, the NIMS, right? That standard framework for mass demonstration and response, that ticket's going to be punched real quick. It's going to be broke. You're not going to see it. You're going to be on your own. Yeah, it's going to be that Austrian method of you fending for yourself, self-survival, self-medication, self-trauma, self-treatment. Austria. So, it's not like the country of Austria, with the big hairy dogs and the jugs, Bugs Bunny and cartoons. Austrian practice, Austrian treatment, Austrian medical response, meaning you alone, no response. The training, the standard, the framework for mass demonstration response assumed the single incident commander with the clear chain of authority is gone. They've made that choice within that binary shift. Now they're not there. What do the masses do? Who's in control now? Who's going to fight for the power? Who's going to fight for the equipment? Who's going to fight for the equipment to respond to that mass shooter event? Multiple faction, binary. Now you're screwed. Now you're screwing yourself. We need to do something about all this violence in society. Well, the more you trigger it and the more you support it and the more you like it and the more you're going to cause it. Yeah, it's going to happen one day. It's not if, it's when. It happens. It's just going to continue to get worse the worse society gets. It's just going to grow. So the multi-faction conflict, command authority, it's going to fracturize. It's going to fall apart. Multiple jurisdiction failures facing multiple stimulus fracturization based on multiple critical events. Not just singular events. There are going to be some new events possibly created that nobody's even heard of before if something like this happens. It's not hard to fathom, people. What is the most violent store in America? Somebody put it in the chat or text it to me right there. If you don't want to put it in the chat, send us a text. What is the most violent store in the United States? The deadliest store in the United States. Yeah, the store that can cause the most damage with the right person that understands something called the periodic table. What is that store? We'll answer that before we close the show. The force continuum problem. Wow, the force continuum, the steps, officer presence, verbal command, hands-on, taser, spray, soft empty hand, hard empty hand, ass, baton, knock, deadly force, defensive, offensive tools, the guns. Yeah, the force continuum is now, it's obliterated. It's out. It's a graduated sense of police control, yeah, but the response options from verbal command to lethal force, they're designed to match the level of the threat of a binary shift, a binary crush, a binary causation given by ethnic razor blades, race razor blades, culture razor blades, subculture, race, critical religion, critical thinking theory, whatever the hell you want to call it. If it's breaking the fabric of society in multiple binary directions, it's going to affect law enforcement, and the use of force continuum is going to fracture. It's not going to be there anymore, people. You complain about how it's bad now. What's it going to be like then when some people in society, we need to get them before they get us, get their wish granted? What's going to happen then? You think that those are like, yeah, we need to get them. We're winning because we caused it. We're doing it. It's very easy for the tides to shift and turn. And suddenly you become the one that's the victim to the multi-factional dilemma. You're now losing. The binary conflict is not in your favor. The continuum is applied now as a single crowd against you. Multiple people join. The binaries come together when they realize that that one single binary fracturization, which would be you causing something, saying things, rallying the troops to get them before they get us. Now you're the threat. Now the threat level simultaneously in society, the threat level elevates towards you. Yeah, it does. It's going to grow. Now your conundrum is just beginning. It's a self-fire starter, self-victimization. Now you would be, as our past episode, the perfect victim. You created it. You endorsed it. You lit the fire. Social media, linguistically, you wanted to be the instrumentation, the instrument. But no, you're the catharsis, the emotional verbiage package. Yeah, there's nothing linguistically executive about you, nothing linguistically judicial or legislative about you. It's just catharsis emotion. The response, either under the response of recognizing a real lethal threat or the over response of something that is truly not violent towards your specific true subculture, race, creed, religion. It's just an isolated incident, or it's something that's been a continued problem systemically caused in society by the constructs of society. Yeah. What is it? F the police. Everybody remembers that song. Everybody knows that song, 'Cause I Got High. Everybody remembers the impact of the great moments in society, but even music, movies, your video games, your speech with each other, you watching this show, shift the cognitive level of understanding. Do you truly want this in your country? Do you truly want the binary change? Do you truly want the culture divided? Now, I'm not talking about legal versus illegal immigration. There is a law in the United States that has been on the books for over 100 years. Enter legally. Period. Done. Done, done, done. Done. Period. It's a what? You voted for these people? Both sides, left and right, Democrat, Republican, however you want to argue it, have enforced the same federal legislative rule of law for decades. You become binary selective on who you want to support because somebody's pulling your trigger. The catharsis emotionalists, the submersive manipulation of you. They're submersing you in emotion, and you're the multifactual environment that's falling prey to it. That's what you're doing. Submersive manipulation. It's just, that's what it is. Submersing you into it. It refers to the exploitation of civil disturbances, emotion, catharsis. The instrument is not there, but we can network the behavior. We can network the extreme groups. We can network the influence, be it internally or externally, in the country, out of the country, interstate, intrastate. We can manipulate that. We can use that to influence operations within the binary shift of the conflict, how it moves, where it goes. We can escalate the violence. We can de-escalate the state's authority. Yeah. It's very easy. The binary shift is going to delegitimize the state's authority because the state's authority is going to be fractured. Because if you think in your heart and in your mind and in your soul, and trust me, I'm pro law enforcement, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Period. Done. This guy, cop. But the influence is there. Not all law enforcement are going to be bulletproof, in layman terms, against the binary consistency of onslaught against them. They're going to give, they're going to shift, they're going to choose a side. Yes, they are. They're going to. But law enforcement is taught the 2-tier. They're not taught the 2, 3, 4, 5, 20, the multi-binary latitudinal shift. It's new to them. Wasn't taught to them by their FTO, their field training officer. Wasn't taught to them by their police chiefs or their sheriffs, because it would never slap them in the face to realize that. Why do you think you see so many agencies with rotundous, robust, obese, fat, overweight cops that can't make it from their front yard to the mailbox without having to stop for a Twinkie energy candy bar break? Yeah, that's one of my major pet peeves, people. Yes, it is. People, I've always get asked that. Why is that your pet peeve? Because I've been in an incident to where the cop that was with me couldn't help me. Yeah. Fat, overweight, out of shape. Couldn't keep up. Yeah, that's why. And for those that worked with me in CID that were at that specific farm with all those knives and tools hanging and all those puppy dogs that were reported stolen, wound up being a narcotic conflict. Yeah, those that were there, you understand it. And you would say, yep, you're 100% right. That fat mother couldn't keep up. Yeah. The escalation risk, if we have that binary conflict, the escalation risk, the risk everybody knows is going to be astronomically high. It's just all it's going to take is a hot breath of anger and something set off. All right. Deploying inadequate numbers of law enforcement, first responders to multiple locations, it's going to be as it is, inadequate numbers. Why? Command system is down. NIMS is down. Incident command is down. Law enforcement agencies are going to be shorthanded. You think all those cars are going to be there? True story. After Katrina, everybody remembers Katrina, right? I was at a law enforcement agency working there. I was in CID, Detective Division, Criminal Investigations Division, and the front person, the person manning the front desk, called back and said, "Hey, Sergeant Gurley, I need you to come up front. There's a guy wanting an application, and he's in a police car." So I'm thinking, okay, somebody came from another municipality, right? So no big deal. So I get there, the guy's there, and I start talking to him, just open, nothing, accusatory, direct. Just, "Hey, man, I'm Sergeant Gurley, blah, 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 CID detectives." And the person, it was a female, at the front desk, facing all the glass, kept pointing, kind of like, "Look outside, look outside, look outside." And I had to shift, so that person, it was another male, wouldn't trigger on me looking at him, but still seeing through the glass, the front entrance, to see the car. It was a police car, all right. It was an Impala, but all the stickers had been removed off of it, and you could see everything that the sticker had on it. You guys have seen those police cars that go down the street. You can still read them because they take the stickers off. You know what I'm talking about. What's it called? Auction. Yeah, auction. Thanks. Auction. Where they're auctioned off? But this car had New Orleans on it. And this was immediately after Katrina. So I just stopped talking to him and walked outside, saw another officer, from my agency, and I said, "Go in there and stand next to this guy and make sure he doesn't leave." Walked out there, looked at that car, had all the equipment, all the stuff. I almost said the S word. Yes, I did. Okay, it had all the shite in it, all right, all the gear. It was a stolen car from New Orleans. Yes. Mm-hmm. I arrested that guy. Sure did. Got in touch with, New Orleans and blah, blah, blah. Long story short, they got the car back. He got extradited and, charged. After that, don't know. But here's the deal. That's a real story from a incident, right? A hurricane, act of God, Mother Nature. But imagine it comparing to the binary shift of race, creed, culture, ethnicity, subculture, race versus races versus a race. And the law enforcement binary shift of where do we go, what do we do if it implodes civilly in society. Something as simple as me arresting a guy for fleeing New Orleans during Katrina, and this was like right there on the state line of Mississippi and Tennessee where this happened. Yeah, arrested him. Sure did. Sure as hell did. Possession of stolen property. Knowing, felony. Felony. Sure did. Even called the DA, and the DA was laughing so hard, the DA hung up on me. You know, just you guys that are law enforcement, you understand. It was just comical for the DA. He was like, I can't believe somebody did something like that, but, hung up on me. Still arrested him. Still, made sure they got their car back and got him extradited through Lincoln. For those of you that know extradition, Lincoln extradition company. I think it's a Lincoln. Is it a company or incorporated? Or is it just it's just Lincoln, right? Yeah. Lincoln extradition. Anyway, they came and picked him up like a couple days later. I guess New Orleans wanted their shite back, their equipment. Guys, I'm not talking about just, Wayland console. This is my console. And, the Eagles. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking like weapons, everything, man, in that car. Stupid. Now, think about what's going to happen in reality when a law enforcement officer has to make that shift, that submersive manipulation, that multi-faction environment affecting the cognitive behavior, the emotion, the catharsis attitude of the officer when society realms up and ramps up so extreme that the officer is forced to make that decision for his own preservation, home, family, race, creed, culture. How many of you are a specific religion and you'll die for that religion or you'll die for the cause? You hear it all the time. All the time. What is it in the South? Take a knee for the cross? Yeah. Think about other religions. Think about the phrases, the contextualism of their ideology. Sometimes one would see it as edict and rhetoric, but are they going to die hard for the cause? You don't know that, do you? But the triggers of the catharsisist emotionalist, let's get them before they get us. The multifactual environment failure. Subversive manipulation refers to exploitation. We covered that, right? But the amplification effect of the submersive behavior, you don't really want to compare it to a narcissist or a psychopathy that would be one that wants control. It's a multiracial conflict that is submersive, and it's based on actors that can operate across multiple factions, simultaneously. And when I say multiple factions simultaneously, just because one is a specific race does not guarantee they are a specific religion. Just because one is a specific race does not guarantee that they are construct of subculture differences that the primary culture has not adopted. So I hope that makes sense to you. It's the amplification, the submissive or submersive. Submersive is going to pull themselves in and find the submissive in the faction. They're going to be the coordinators, the coordinating the attacks, the events, the appearance, the state-biased announcer, the instrument in the... This is why we have the binary conflict of the race versus races, races versus race, and the binary control of where do the police go and what do they choose. This is not something that's going to be a pre-conflict preventer. It's not going to be preventing any conflict. It's not even going to be preventing post-conflict. Conflict is already there. It's normalized. It's normalization. It's there. It's binary. Society knows it. Go to larger cities to where the predominant level of police forces, law enforcement, sheriff's department, state agencies, mixed race, culture, creed, religion. Once that side becomes the, so to say, submissive to the submersive, you're going to see the emotion shift. You're going to see the dedication. You're going to see the one of two sides shift. Now the binary is pulled in, multi-longitudinal. They're going to make that choice. The multifactional conflict is now being embedded, chiseled in like a Fred Flintstone pterodactyl on a wooden or concrete pallet. It's being chiseled in their brain. The latent phrases of ideology, edict, rhetoric are now going to be at the front of the cerebral cortex. Up at the front lobe, hearing, sensing, seeing, interpretation. They're going to make that ethnicity choice in the community really fast. And it may not be they're the police. They're here to protect us. It may not be that. So you may get your hopes and your dreams of, we need to get them before they get us. But be careful. They just may be better than you, faster than you, smarter than you, and linguistically more able than you to submersively pull from avenues that you're just too stupid to pull from.